I met somebody that was worth $100 million, and he came to go see my mom. My mom had to leave out of the office for an emergency that day. So she said, Karlton, take the appointment. Just take it. I was used to only dealing with phone calls, selling people that were making a couple of six figures to go work with my mother and to go work with her tax planning team. When this man came into the office, I could just tell that he was worth a lot of money by the way in which he dressed. He was a little bit older, him and his wife, and they had stacks and stacks of tax returns. When I sat down in the conference room with them, they said, young man, explain to us what you guys are capable of doing here at Karlton Associates. I went on to do my elaborate sales pitch that I had done 1,000,000 times before. The tax planning is the process of being able to leverage the tax code to the fullest extent. He's like, sir. He's like, young man, stop talking to me. You see my tax returns right there in front of you. Tell me what you can do. And at the time, brother, I was probably 220 pounds, 7% body fat, testosterone at another level. Every ounce of testosterone left my freaking body in that moment because I really did not know how to read his tax returns or what to do to help him save money on taxes because I hadn't studied yet. I had no tax license. All I had was sales skills. So I had to literally tell him, I opened it up and I'm like, oh shit, he's making $100 million. He has oil and gas companies he owns, a meat packing company that he owns. Oh my gosh, let me close this damn tax return and just try to jump back into the pitch. And he stopped me again. And he said, listen, he's like, you don't know how to read these tax returns, do you? And I said, listen, this is really an appointment for my mother. I'm more or less here to explain the process. He said, he pushed away from the desk right then and there and stood up. And he said, tell your mother this was a great exercise, but if she wants my business, then she needs to call me. I'll see you later, young man. And he walked out the door with his wife.
Let's go. Another episode of Adversity Kings. I got special guest today. It's Karlton Dennis.
Yeah.
Right? The tax strategist or the tax, is it alchemist?
That's right.
Right? Refresh my brain on, I didn't even look up the term again. What's alchemist?
Oh man, it just means that you have like an understanding over something.
For real?
That's what the word alchemy means. Like, yeah, that you have like
a deeper understanding?
Deeper understanding over something, like almost like a mystical understanding over something.
Feels like a scientific word.
It's like scientific and almost mystical too.
Was there like a classical book that they try to make kids read in school?
The
like
Alchemist,
right?
The Alchemist, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What was that about? I didn't read it.
Bro, I didn't read that book either.
Okay, I was going to say, I feel like...
But when I was starting tax and accounting, I was like, bro, I want a cool name that's not like a traditional accounting name, like Dennis Tax and Accounting. I didn't want to label it after like my last name or anything. So I went with tax alchemy. I just looked up, what's a word that means I have a deep understanding of something. And alchemy popped up and I liked that. So I just went with tax alchemy.
And it says here you were born in California?
Yeah, born and raised in California.
La Palma, California?
Yeah.
Isn't this cool, ChatGPT? I just ChatGPT'd you. I got all kinds of information. Sometimes it's not accurate, though, and I'm like, I wonder if this is right.
No, I was born in Orange County. Yeah, bro.
Let's see how accurate.
La Palma's probably one of the smallest cities in Orange County. Yeah.
So June 8th, 93.
Yeah.
Calvin and Carla.
Mom and dad.
Right?
Held it down.
Okay.
Still do.
Okay, and this is a family business?
Yeah.
When you got into tax?
My mother's tax and accounting firm is a family-owned business.
Okay.
My firm is owned solely by me.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the inspiration came from, what'd your dad do?
Bro, so my dad was a construction supervisor in the city of Los Angeles. His role over supervising was so high up that by the time he was 49, he retired and he earns 90% of the same salary that he was making when he was working full time. So he retired at 49. He's now a black belt in karate.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and
he's 70 now. So he's been retired for 30 years.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Now, were your parents born and raised in California?
No. Or yes. My dad was actually born and raised in Texas. My mom was born and raised in Karlton, California. They met in Los Angeles.
How'd they meet?
They met through a dating app.
Yeah?
Actually, yeah. Through a dating app. Yeah.
No way.
I swear to God. Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
It wasn't like MySpace?
No, it wasn't anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what was growing up for you like?
Growing up for me was kind of interesting because I was in a predominantly white and Asian neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I grew up with predominantly Asian friends. I went to school and was one of 5 black kids in the entire school. So I was just used to like focusing on studying and trying to be a good kid. Bro, 100% a bookworm.
Yeah.
But I think this was all intentional by my parents because my mom was surrounded by drugs and violence. And all she wanted was to be in a neighborhood where she didn't hear gunshots at night.
Yeah.
So she Google searched the safest neighborhood in California. And at the time, it was La Palma, California, before Irvine became like the #1 city in America to be the safest. Bro, it was La Palma. And the craziest thing is La Palma is the second smallest city in all of California. It's literally a mile in each direction.
Yeah.
So she chose that spot and moved our family over, had my older brother, and then 18 months later had me. So me and my older brother are super close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was early childhood for you like?
I feel like early childhood for me was a lot of discipline, a lot of don't make mistakes that we made growing up.
Yeah.
Which is, lying or, trying to cheat or anything of that nature. My parents were super, super militant around our childhood. Homework had to be done ahead of time. Everybody sat at the dinner table. We all ate dinner together as a family every single night. And my parents believed in disciplining, physical discipline and actual just real life, you're going to go sit in a corner somewhere type of discipline. And I would say that definitely shaped my upbringing between me and my brothers because we had a lot of kids around us growing up that got into trouble. And we were always on the outside of that trouble.
Yeah.
And it was because of the types of decisions that we made that prevented us from falling into traps that we could have easily fell into.
And so when you get into when did you start getting curious about, I guess more so, maybe not even entrepreneurship, but just what your family did for work, taxes, and I'm guessing the inspiration then obviously came from your mom with her being, so she's a CPA, has her own firm then, correct?
Yeah, so she's a licensed enrolled agent.
Yeah.
She had her own firm since forever.
Yeah.
I didn't really become interested until mom stopped coming home at night.
Yeah.
It would be 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night. And I'm like, well, where the hell's my mom at?
Yeah.
And my dad would tell me, bro, mom's working right now. And I'm like, why? Because she's self-employed and she carries part of this family just like I do. And it's her job right now to be with those clients, helping them file tax returns.
Yeah.
And so I got to see my mom, not really see her, but I got to see my mom work Monday through Saturday from, let's just say 8 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So we would stay up as brothers sometimes until she got home and wait on the staircase just to see her come through the door. And we rush down the staircase, say hello to her, everything like that. But my mom was a true entrepreneur, a grinder, bro. And she grinded through the '08 crash and she grinded through, a lot of hard times. But the good thing is that her hard work and her efforts allow for us to have the lifestyle that we did have. It's not like we were struggling to put food on the table.
Dang. Okay. And so when you go to college, where'd you go?
Went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, full scholarship.
Okay.
Yeah, played football there.
Okay, so so I read you played a little bit of football, and then was some of the scholarship academic as well?
Yeah, partial academic, mainly for athletics.
Yeah.
I got a football scholarship to play football and majored in kinesiology.
Yeah, so what's that?
So kinesiology is study of how the body moves.
Okay.
So it's all kinetics. What gets your knee to actually flex.
Yeah.
What builds the force in your body to push off.
Why'd you want to do that?
I just wanted to focus on being an NFL athlete. And I thought if I studied how the body works, then I'll know better about how to keep my body in shape in order to perform at the highest level. And so I'll be honest with you, when I got to college, I had no intentions of actually doubling down on college stuff. I just wanted to spend as much time as I can focusing on football. And so choosing kinesiology gave me enough information to still be motivated enough to go to school. But really, I spent all the rest of my time really just focused on sports.
Wow. And then, so was college 4 years for you?
4.5 years. 4.5 years. Yeah, I redshirted my first year. So it's like a blank year. You just do academics. You don't get to play on the football field. You're essentially saying, I don't want to waste a year of eligibility because I'm not yet ready to go and perform on the football field yet. So I redshirted. And then I had another 4 years on top of that redshirt year. So I was in college for 5 years.
And I'm just trying to put the pieces together here in regard to your life. So after, when does it click for you that's all right, I want to get into the tax business?
I never wanted to be in the tax business.
Okay.
It didn't click for me until after college because when I was in college, I was so determined to get to the NFL that was the only thing that I was thinking about.
Yeah.
It wasn't until my junior year that I started having all these little itty bitty injuries happening. And I'm like, oh shit, these little itty bitty injuries I can't recover anymore from these as fast as I used to. These are lingering injuries now. Now,
Yeah.
now I'm constantly dealing with my hip flexor and this knee issue. Shit, am I going to be dealing with this if I go into the NFL? What if I don't go into the NFL because of these issues now? So now all of a sudden this doubt started to happen, bro. My redshirt junior year, right before I went into my senior year. And what I ended up doing, and this was a low point mentally, what I ended up doing is instead of staying focused on football, I started going to career fairs. So Cal Poly San Luis Obispo had career fairs that they would put on campus, and it was in the auditorium, and they would invite all these different corporations and companies to show up, and they would have their booths. Why? Because they wanted college students to come in there and to apply for a career at these various different companies.
Yeah.
And so I took my partial kinesiology information, my hunger to want to be an NFL athlete, and parked that over for a second and said, I'm going to go to career fair and just see if there's any of these companies that I can end up parking, my degree with after I graduate from Cal Poly.
Yeah.
Sure enough, I ran into Gallo Wine Company, an alcohol-based company that, if you have, great people skills, you like to communicate, you like to work in an environment where we're predominantly women-based, it'll work out great for you. I'm coming off of partying and playing sports. So the idea of working in a company where I'd be selling alcohol and making $60,000 a year coming out of college, it sounded okay for me at the time. So when I went through my last year of football, in the back of my head, I had in my head, well, shit, if this doesn't end up working out, I can always go into a sales career. If this doesn't end up working out, always go work for Gallo or another one of these sales companies. So I went into my last year of football already with the doubt that I may not make it to the NFL, and it fucked me over, bro. Because right when I got out of football, instead of taking the necessary steps to go get ready for training camp, to go get ready for my pro day to perform, to go to the NFL, as soon as football season was over, I stopped responding to all of the agents. I stopped responding to my coaches. I went into the weight room and was working on my fitness, but then I was really just going to career fair and multiple career fairs, trying to land a job right after football. 4 weeks after football season ended, no pro day yet, I had already landed a job. So now I'm here in a situation where it's like, okay, you already know you have something set up for you. Are you going to give yourself this opportunity to at least see you can make it to the NFL? And one of my biggest fucking regrets is I just didn't even show up.
Wow.
I didn't even show up for my pro day, bro. I played football since I was 5 years old, and I didn't show up for my pro day. There's no telling what would have happened. Could I have gone to the NFL? In my heart, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did I have the skill set? Absolutely. Did I have the size? But the heart, everything else for sure was there, bro. For sure.
What was your position?
I played corner. I was a corner. So I guarded wide receivers, and I guarded the best of the wide receivers. Yeah. I guarded some of the best wide receivers in the NFL today. Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, Triple Crown leaders. I guarded those guys for 4 years, and I held shit down.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean shit anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
facts.
At the time it did.
Yeah.
And at the time it would have been nice to, go run a 40-yard dash and go do bench press and see what I could have got.
Yeah.
But I didn't do it. And when I went into career at Gallo Wine Company, that was what was in the back of my mind. You didn't do the NFL, so you better go fucking be successful in sales. You better go be successful in this career you are committing to right now. And so when you ask me, when did this whole wanting to be a tax guy come into the picture? Shit, it still hasn't even came into the picture in this story yet, because I'm still over here trying to prove something now. I didn't go to the NFL. Now I have to go prove that I'm a sales guy. Yeah. But here's where entrepreneurship started knocking. As I was outside of football now, I had all of these fraternity guys on campus saying, Karlton, bro, you were easily one of the most in-shape football guys. Write us workout programs. Okay, I'll write you guys a workout program. Write us a six-pack program. Coachella's coming up. We want to go to Coachella. Write us a summer program so we can have a six-pack summer. Shit, I'll just write this shit because I'm in the best shape of my life. I went to school for kinesiology, and I'm damn near almost a professional athlete, like in shape all the way.
Yeah.
I started writing these workout programs, sending them off to these fraternities. Next thing you know, sororities are asking me for workout programs. Next thing you know, I'm the guy on campus dishing out workout programs. I call my business Rambo Fitness because I used to wear these headbands like I was Rambo when I was playing football all the time, and people used to call me Rambo. So now I have my first business, Rambo Fitness. Here's where Uncle Sam came into the motherfucking picture. I didn't know that all of this money that I was having sent over to me from Venmo and from Zelle and transfers, I had to report all of that to IRS. I had already made $20,000, $30,000 part-time selling fitness programs for freaking 100, 150 bucks to all these fraternity and sorority kids. I just had cash, bro. And of course, what happens when you just get cash sometimes? You just spend it. You don't think about there's an Uncle Sam, there's a tax guy that's coming to collect on that shit. Well, I got a letter in the mail from Uncle Sam saying that I should have reported a 1099 in X amount. And when I saw X amount and how much I owed on that document, I looked inside of my bank account and I'm like, hold on a second. The money that's in my bank account doesn't equate to the money that the IRS says I owe. Mom, what is this? By the way, who the fuck is Uncle Sam?
Yeah.
Oh, Karlton, remember I had the tax and accounting company. You know, where you used to come in when you were 14 and pick up the staples off the ground. Yeah, I actually help people save money on taxes. You should have called me when you started this business. We should have set up an LLC. We should have took write-offs. We don't owe the IRS. You do.
Yeah.
And I said, Mom, how the fuck am I supposed to pay the IRS? I don't have that much money. She's like, you don't have to worry about paying them all that money right now. Here's what we're going to do. Send them a check for this amount, $5K, and then we'll get on a payment plan for the rest. You mean to me that I owe the government money? Yeah, you owe the fucking government money. Welcome to the game. And right then and there was when I realized, okay, this person that she's telling me, Uncle Sam, this guy's, he's never been to any Christmas party, Thanksgiving. He's not my fucking uncle. But why is it that he gets to cut me at the damn knees when it's time for me to file my damn tax returns?
Yeah.
And that's when I became super interested in what my mom was doing. Now you're caught up on the story. This is when the transition started to happen. I was making these fitness programs now working for Gallo Wine Company. Instead of being for fraternity guys and sorority guys, now I'm doing it for my coworkers. I'm doing it for some of the people that I'm running to in at the gym. I'm on Instagram and sharing workout programs on Instagram. I changed my Instagram description to celebrity fitness trainer. Brother, I hadn't worked with not one celebrity yet.
Yeah.
But I told myself I was a celebrity fitness trainer because I wanted to be the fitness trainer for Kevin Hart and for, Jamie Foxx. And mentally I was telling myself, well, if I don't do sales, I'm going to keep this fitness thing I got going on. And I'll probably end up becoming the best fitness trainer to all these actors and actresses that I look up to.
Yeah.
I want to be Kevin Hart's personal trainer. I kept telling myself, I'm going to eventually run into Kevin Hart one day and I'm going to eventually be his personal trainer.
Yeah.
Well, he was not my first celebrity client. It actually was one of Future's, the rapper Future's baby mamas that reached out to me saying, hey, my PR company and we want to get with you guys in Los Angeles and we want to go to Runyon Canyon and film a workout video in Runyon Canyon. Can you put together a workout for our day? And I put together a whole workout with my girlfriend. She's now my wife. And I showed up to Runyon Canyon thinking I was going to train this, celebrity on how to do all this fitness stuff. I had spent hours working on this workout program. When she showed up, all she wanted to do was just go on a walk and be on video camera. Wow. Mentally, I was like, am I even helping? Like, is this what this is? Like, like, what is this? And I told my wife about it. And I'm like, yeah, I made some money from this. I'm like, we spent so much time putting together this fitness program. I actually wanted to train her. I wanted to see some fucking results. All we did was just walk around and she did some jumping jacks for the video.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, she got what she wanted. Did I get the fulfillment that I was looking for from this? And I didn't, bro. I called my mom. I said, Mom, listen, I got sales skills now. I know what I'm doing at Gallo. I've been here for 9 months. I'm having a hard time getting my fitness business off the ground. It's too inconsistent, the cash flow. What if I stopped working for Gallo? It's a family-owned company. What if I stopped working for them and I come work for your company, Carla Dennis and Associates? If I come and work for your company, I'll build the same sales team that I'm building at Gallo for you. I will use the same sales processes. I'll create scripts because I know, Mom, that you're all word of mouth and referral and you don't have a sales team. I think it would be beneficial for your tax and accounting business to have a sales team. What do you think? And she said, if your brother Kenny is willing to do the marketing for you, I will allow for you to come over and do the sales for me. So I talked to Kenny about it. Kenny, I know you're running your marketing agency. Do you think you can help Mom out? We'll both join at the same time. You'll do the marketing. I'll do the sales. We'll feed the business. He said, yeah, bro, I'm already doing marketing for other companies. It'd be nothing for me to do it. Fast forward to jumping into my mother's company, bro. The first 60 days of me working in my mother's company, I made $0. Why? Because I negotiated with my mom that I wanted to be on a commission-based contract. I just want to earn commission. Whatever I eat, I kill.
Yeah.
Bro, I didn't know anything about taxes. So getting on the phone with people and saying, hey, my mom can help you. My mom is capable of doing shit. That didn't get me nowhere. It wasn't until my mother brought me into my office one day and she told me, Karlton, if you don't close a deal within the next 10 days, I will fire you, that I actually gave a shit about taxes. And what I did that day, bro, and this changed everything for me, is I went to Target. The store Target, and I bought a black recorder. It was $19.97. I took that black recorder and I shoved it underneath my mom's desk and I hit record. For 8 hours, it listened to everything my mom said that day. My mom had conversations with people. She closed deals and she made a killing. I took that recorder, sent it to rev.com and got transcripts of everything she said, bro, that day. Now I had a fucking sales script. I had not only a sales script, I had the sales script from the woman who had been running this business for 20 years in the way in which she communicates it, the things that she says, the subtle words that she says. And guess what I did? I did exactly what I had done all my life. Mimic the starter. Who's the person that's on the field doing the best? Go do exactly what he does. And my mom was on the field doing the best. I mimicked the words in which she communicated, and I got my first sale, and then eventually my second sale, and then eventually I made 6 figures. But then I ran into a situation, like all of us do, where I got humbled, bro. I ran into somebody that said, hey, read my tax returns. And I didn't know how to read the tax returns in front of him. And it humbled me. It was a very humbling situation.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm confused here now. And when it comes to being able to actually work the taxes, do you have to be a CPA or technically no? Like, is that a licensing thing? Because I'm like kind of like.
Yeah. Like, where did Karlton get his license? When does that come into the place? I had 0 licenses at the time, bro. You don't need a license to sell tax preparation or tax planning at all. Okay. So I was sitting on the side of the table of, let me just create the transaction. Let me explain to you what's going on when it comes to tax strategy or our process, because I didn't understand taxes yet. And if you're open to it, here's the price, and I will route you over to my mother's team. I was strictly on the sales side of it.
Yeah.
I met somebody that was worth $100 million, and he came to go see my mom. My mom had to leave out of the office for an emergency that day. So she said, Karlton, take the appointment. Just take it. I was used to only dealing with phone calls, selling people that were making a couple of 6 figures to go work with my mother and to go work with her tax planning team. When this man came into the office, I could just tell that he was worth a lot of money by the way in which he dressed. He was a little bit older, him and his wife.
Yeah.
And they had stacks and stacks of tax returns. When I sat down in the conference room with them, they said, young man, explain to us what you guys are capable of doing here at Karlton Associates. I went on to do my elaborate sales pitch that I had done 1,000,000 times before. The tax planning is the process of being able to leverage the tax code to the fullest extent. He's like, sir. He's like, young man, stop talking to me. You see my tax returns right there in front of you. Tell me what you can do. And at the time, brother, I was probably 220 pounds, 7% body fat, testosterone at another level. Every ounce of testosterone left my freaking body in that moment because I really did not know how to read his tax returns or what to do to help him save money on taxes because I hadn't studied yet. I had no tax license. All I had was sales skills. So I had to literally tell him, I opened it up and I'm like, oh shit, he's making $100 million. He has oil and gas companies he owns, a meat packing company that he owns. Oh my gosh, let me close this damn tax return and just try to jump back into the pitch. And he stopped me again. And he said, listen, he's like, you don't know how to read these tax returns, do you? And I said, listen, this is really an appointment for my mother. I'm more or less here to explain the process. And he said, he pushed away from the desk right then and there and stood up. And he said, tell your mother this was a great exercise, but if she wants my business, then she needs to call me. I'll see you later, young man. And he walked out the door with his wife.
Wow.
Brother, I felt like a dog with the tail tucked in between his legs. I felt like someone had popped my little balloon. I was just fizzing away from the conversation, bro.
Yeah.
Because I had no skills. I had no ability to help him. And I got embarrassed in front of him. I hated being embarrassed, just like a corner hates getting a touchdown scored on them. It's the worst freaking feeling, bro, because all eyes are on you. You were supposed to guard that guy.
Yeah.
I didn't guard him. So I went on the internet that night. We didn't have ChatGPT. And I said, okay, what is the highest designation I can go get? What do I need to study? And it said, enrolled agent is the highest designation the IRS awards to tax professionals. It means you have the highest designation to study both taxation, tax law, and provide advice around tax strategy. The enrolled agent's license is harder than the CPA license.
Yeah.
Even though you have to go to accounting school to get the CPA license. And I said, well, how's that? Because CPAs don't spend time studying a lot of taxation. They spend a lot of time studying accounting, how to account for things that go inside of a tax return, not around how to consult around strategies and how to reduce a tax bill.
So what's it called? An
enrolled agent.
enrolled agent.
Enrolled agent. So there's CPAs
Yeah.
and then there's EAs. I'm an EA. I am not a CPA.
So CPA, are they limited by state too? Like a
No.
CPA can only represent certain states, or they can get all 50 states and be a CPA for all 50 states?
Yeah, you could be a CPA in all 50 states as well.
But the EA is more so a strategist.
Correct.
And the CPA is more so just a counter.
Exactly, bro.
Count.
Yeah. So if you're somebody that's a CPA, you probably went to school for accounting and you love being behind a computer doing numbers and making sure everything's accurate. If you're an EA, you probably love being on the phone and consulting with people and sharing with them how they can take advantage of a tax code or a law.
Like a
completely
visionary.
different conversations.
I feel like the EA is like the quarterback. You know what I mean? Like sees the field, makes plays, kind of calls the plays. And like the CPA is probably like the lineman. You know what I mean?
100%, bro. You could even relate it to soccer. The EA is like the goalie blocking you from overpaying on taxes, and the CPA is like the midfielder doing all the work on the field.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got to do your bookkeeping, I got to do your tax preparation, but I don't have to prevent that ball from going in the goal. Somebody else does.
Yeah.
That's what a tax strategist does. I'm preventing the ball from going in the goal. I'm preventing you from overpaying on taxes.
Yeah. How hard is it to get that?
It's not as hard as you would think. What it really is, bro, is it's passion, because you're studying something that's so dry for long periods of time that you almost can lose focus. But what I love about the EA license is everything's situational based.
Yeah.
John and Lisa made $200,000. John's father passed away and he's now inheriting 2 rental properties. How is John going to be taxed on the rental income, and when does he inherit it? It's like real life situations that can happen. You know what I'm saying? Versus just saying, what's this, what's that, what's that?
So when you file taxes, can you have an EA sign off on it
Yes.
and not a CPA? Or do you need both?
You can have either one sign off on it.
So like you're fully protected just having an EA sign on it.
100%.
Okay. And then my next question, I'm just going to start jumping into tax questions, is, and these will probably be like simple and vague. I would imagine audience wise, be like, okay, that's simple. But like quarterly, annually, what do you like, or does it depend on the client?
Yeah. So for me, I prefer not to do estimated tax payments. And here's the reason why. I'm typically leveraging tax strategies actively in the year, and I need access to the money that thus would have gone over in taxes to avoid taxes. Let me paint this picture. Let's just say that I made $1 million, or I'm going to make $1 million this year, and I'm in the 32% tax bracket. So I'm going to pay $320,000. I could separate that and cut checks quarterly and pay my $320,000 quarterly. Or I could say, you know what? I know I'm going to make $1 million. Instead of making those estimated tax payments every single quarter at like $60,000 a quarter or whatever it comes out to, what if I just reinvested that $1 million right now, or part of that $1 million right now, into oil and gas, into real estate, into a private family foundation, into something that creates a write-off for me? Now I don't have to send off so much money in an estimated tax payment to the IRS, because on the back end, I would have never owed the money in the first place. Does that make sense?
It does. And it makes me think right now, because, and I don't know this guy, but I know Mark Shapiro is trying to, sometimes he'll try to give some tax pointers, but then Baller Busters will throw up like some like genius little lady that's talking about taxes, and she's like, this is wrong. And I'm like, I don't know shit. I don't know who's right. And so I'm curious here, with everything that you're talking about, when you see people like this make these comments on, you got to tax like this, you got to do, and write-offs, more so specifically with write-offs, can you write off the whole vehicle? Or, you know what I mean? Like you get a vehicle over 6,000 pounds. It's like, can you write the whole thing off? Because like, I feel like some people are like, no, you can't. Some people are like, yes, you can. Like, is it just situational? Is it by state?
Yeah, it's situational for everybody. When it comes to taking write-offs, it's always situational. It's never a one-size-fits-all, because your involvement over a business vehicle might be different than my involvement over a business vehicle. I'm a tax professional, so a majority of my conversations happen from the desk. Whereas if I'm a contractor and I need to do development, I might have to get in my car every single day. So even though we both have business vehicles, my involvement to use my business vehicle may only be 50% of the time, whereas somebody that's a contractor might be using that vehicle 100% for business. So if they buy a car that weighs over 6,000 pounds, that's being 100% used for business, sure, they can write off the full purchase price, but I can't, because my vehicle is only being used 50% for business and 50% maybe for personal.
I think I heard him say something like you could write off your clothes. And then the girl was like, you can't write off your clothes.
Yeah, you can't write off your clothes. It has to be uniform, and it has to be a uniform that you're wearing regularly and continuously. So what I do
What if
is
I got 5 black suits? It's like-
that's exactly what I do. So I'm not in a blue suit today, but
Yeah.
normally I wear navy blue. That's
Yeah.
like my thing. All of my suits are normally navy blue or black. And what I do is I get my logo and my initials embroidered on the inside of it. And I write inside of my operating agreement that I have 5 suits that are black and 5 suits that are blue. It's inside of my corporation's operating agreement. I'm not playing any games around these deductions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's my question is like, how serious, and this is probably like what everybody thinks, and then you get hit with extra taxes. How serious does the IRS like crack down and look like, no, we need you to prove we want to come see these suits? Do they send out an agent? You know what I mean? Or do you need to just send in some form of documentation? Like a picture, here's the picture of my suits, here's the documentation in my corporate agreement in regard to here's our uniform. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
Like when they actually start cracking down and be like, no, we want to see where this money's going. Like I've heard of people saying, I'll move to Puerto Rico or something and live there for 181 days.
The IRS starts to get aggressive when you start ignoring them, bro. Because to be honest with you, most times that you hear about these horror stories, it's not from people that are like trying to give a explanation around why they took an expense. It's people who are lazy and haven't responded to the IRS's notices. They sent you a notice in January. They sent you a notice in February. They sent you a notice in April, May, June. You're just now responding to their notice in June around the expense that they've had a question on going back to January.
Yeah.
So now you've waited almost 6 months to even communicate with the IRS. Now, instead of it just being a system where you send back something, you have someone assigned to you now. Now you have somebody that's waking up and saying, I'm just gonna start reviewing everything and start figuring out how much I can assess this person. And then now they may say, well, we'll schedule an audit now. So now I want you to show up to a specific appointment where I get to ask you about these things. And now you have to prove to me that you had the expenses for these things. And when I say you have to prove it with the IRS, you are guilty until proven innocent, not innocent until proven guilty.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Do they ever call?
Yeah.
I've heard people say like the IRS never calls. And I'm like,
The IRS will call CPAs and tax professionals.
Okay.
They won't call the customer.
Okay, they
Yeah,
won't
they'll
call the
send
customer.
letters. They'll
Okay.
send letters. But if you have like a revenue agent assigned to you and you're going through an audit, they may call us back or call our office back because we're working on the case for the client. We're representing the client underneath our tax license.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's that little app that people try to use to do their taxes?
TurboTax?
TurboTax.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts on people doing TurboTax?
It's definitely for, lower income,
Yeah.
individuals. If you're somebody that's a sophisticated taxpayer is a taxpayer that has K1 and business income, you should not be using TurboTax because I can almost guarantee you're missing out on deductions. I don't care if you have the little AI agent that pops up in the corner. It doesn't know how to think like a real tax strategist. It's only giving recommendations. It ain't giving you tax strategy.
Yeah.
So you're most likely going to end up missing out on deductions if you use TurboTax if you're a sophisticated taxpayer.
What would you say the difference is between how an EA would charge versus like a CPA?
An EA is going to charge relative to what he's capable of saving you. A CPA is going to charge you relative to what he's capable of doing for you when it comes to compliance. If I'm a CPA, I know every single year I'm going to have to do your bookkeeping and tax preparation. If you're self-employed, bookkeeping will be a must.
Yeah.
If you're not self-employed, then it's just tax preparation. So I'm going to send you an engagement agreement. It's just a cost. Everybody who has a pulse that makes over $15,000 has to file their tax return. It's either going to be done by you or it's going to be done by a CPA. Nobody has to have a tax strategist, right? So when you're in a situation where you have a tax problem, what will end up happening is you'll typically go to your CPA to try to get answers. You'll feel like you've been left with not enough answers to really solve your problem. And what I see happens is people go around their CPA to the internet. They find YouTube, they find Instagram, they find other tax teachers teaching them about strategies that they could be doing. And then they find out about this concept of a tax strategist. And then they get on the phone with our team or another team. And now they have both a CPA that files the returns and a tax strategist that's helping them reduce their tax bill.
Can you work internationally or just nationally?
You can work internationally too, but you would have to get your tax license internationally as well. And I currently do not have international
You think
tax
that's something you'll do?
No, not worried about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's plenty of opportunity
America's
here.
got the strongest economy.
100%. There's
all
way
the
more
countries.
tax codes here in the United States than anywhere else. Our tax code is the deepest, the densest, the biggest.
And what are your thoughts? That's my next question. Is with the Department of Government Efficiency and hopefully them cracking down on just simplifying the tax process. I don't have an issue with taxes. I believe in paying the fair share and building a better country or company, either one. But my thoughts are, it's almost like, I think Karlton puts it good. He put a post up today. It's like paying taxes on taxes on taxes. You got pre-tax dollar, then you got sales tax, and you got that tax.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Department of Government Efficiency minimizing the taxes, is that something that would still benefit you, or would that hurt you if there's less taxes people
I think
have
what
to
the
pay?
Department of Government Efficiency is doing is they're trying to audit the IRS to try
Yeah.
to see like where is the IRS's dollars being spent. And I think that's super important because we heard when Biden administration came in that there was going to be 87,000 new IRS employees that were going to be employed to help create better efficiency, but also to increase the amount of audits. And then you get Donald Trump that comes in and he's already saying, nope, I'm trying to abolish the IRS. I want to eliminate the IRS. I want to cut back on the amount of IRS offices that there are. And so the Department of Government Efficiency is coming in and trying to figure out, are these employees even needed, right? Then you have tariffs going on right now. Trump is trying to make a point here. He's trying to show you, I can get money from other countries because of the way in which I place tariffs on them, right? I'm going to make US-based companies pay more right now to do things in the United States versus going overseas, right?
Yeah.
But tax revenue is starting to come in right now because of what he's doing. All these tariffs, we are getting tax revenue coming in. I think what he's doing is he's trying to set the stage to lower federal tax rates. Because when Trump was the president last time in 2018, he released his Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and then we saw the economy boom, right? And then we went into a pandemic, and then we went into a lull period in the Biden administration. And now we're trying to look for this next little oomph. Where's it going to come from, right? And so he's shaking up the markets right now. He's placing tariffs on things. He got the Department of Government Efficiency keeping you entertained over here. And then all of a sudden, you'll hear about his tax plan coming out where he's going to slash corporate tax rates. He's going to try to eliminate Social Security or taxes on Social Security, taxes on tips, maybe even taxes on overtime wages. And what I think too is he's going to try to lower the federal tax rates. Right now, our highest federal tax bracket is 37%. I could possibly see that going down potentially. And ultimately, the tax bracket's being expanded. So if you are making more income, it just takes a longer time for you to get into the higher tax brackets.
That's good.
That's
Overall,
great.
it's phenomenal.
I'm okay with it.
So with these tariffs, if you were to explain this to a dummy, like tariffs for dummy, you know what I mean? We clip this real quick, we put it up somewhere. Like, what are the tariffs for dummies?
Okay, tariffs for dummies is I'm making cars, and I know that some of my parts that I would like to go inside of my car are a little bit expensive. So I can choose to hire some people here in the United States to build this out, but the labor that I'm going to pay to build it out in the United States is going to be a little bit higher because I'm hiring people that have maybe degrees and, cost of living is more here in the United States. And so my margin on the equipment plus the labor that I'm paying for is decreased here in the United States. So maybe I decide, with 2025, I just want to expand my business and become more profitable. I don't want to have so many freaking US-based employees that are running up my payroll and eating into my profit margins and all this US-based equipment that we're paying for that's eating into my margin. So I'm going to go overseas and I'm going to go get some overseas employees. Why? Because minimum wage overseas is 30x less than what it is in the United States. So right then and there, I just improved my bottom line. But when I go overseas for the employment, what I also realize is some of the things that I was sourcing here in the United States, I'm also able to get overseas that can help me build this car. So now I'm saving money and building up my business by not using US made products or US based employees. So what does that do to the United States? Well, depending on what type of product or service you're providing, it can weaken the American economy. It can weaken the amount of jobs that we're offering here because we're saying simply, I just want to go get jobs cheaper elsewhere.
Yeah.
So when Trump puts a tariff on the United States for equipment, cell phones, vehicles, what he's essentially saying is I now, Karlton Dennis, the United States-based taxpayer, I have to pay a tax on using that employee that's in China, India, wherever. I now have to pay a tax on transporting the equipment here and bringing it onto US soil. So what does this do for me? Everything that I was trying to do all of a sudden comes crumbling down. I was trying to go save a quick buck and I was trying to build my business and expand using offshore talent. Now I'm being penalized for doing so. So I have one or two things that I can do. Complain and keep overpaying, or start figuring out ways in which I can make things here and build things here and employ people here. And you see Elon Musk sitting here smiling because why? He never left the United States. He kept a lot of his businesses here in the United States, and he's not feeling the ramifications of the tariffs. You have Tim Cook from Apple shipping all his damn iPhones here to the United States as fast as he possibly can. And then all of a sudden, all of a sudden, Donald Trump puts a 90-day pause on tariffs.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? And then we just found out this week that when he reinstates tariffs, it's going to exclude semiconductors, which are the chips that go inside of computers, the chips that go inside of the damn Apple iPhones.
Wow.
And he's removing iPhones from it. So that means Tim Cook just flies now under the radar of this whole tariff situation because guess what? Donnie said, this is how we gonna do things now.
And I wonder how much Tim Cook had to pay or something. I don't know, but I wonder how many, because Apple's such a it's a $1 trillion enterprise, correct?
Yeah.
Is it multi-trillion or just a?
I would agree with you that it is a multi-trillion.
I would imagine
industry. A valuation for sure.
I can't imagine how many, Chinese sweatshops are over there and they're just pumping out these iPhones. I've seen crazy things. Joe Rogan's talked about where like at the top of some of these sweatshops they'll have like nets to keep people from like jumping off and committing suicide. You know what I mean? Because you imagine you're working for like 1 cent a day or something like that. You know what I mean? And you're working in this sweatshop and you just have no vision of a future. It's kind of like this good book I read, Viktor Frankl, and it was more so in reference to a Holocaust survivor. And I think it's A Man's Search for Meaning.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Incredible
heard of that book.
But it's like, it goes back to the Bible. It goes back to even in the book. It's like people without vision, they perish. You know what I mean? So it's like super simple. When I think of like everything that we're doing and it's almost, but at the same time, like in regard to corruption, there's always going to be corruption. So it's like almost like when people say they're going to go vegetarian and save the animals, like, bro, people are always going to, like, you not eating a cheeseburger is not going to stop us from killing cows and eating cheeseburgers. So you might as well enjoy it. Next thing, LLC or S Corp or C Corp. What are you doing? Somebody's coming to you and it's like, hey, I'm starting a business. And is it like different strokes for different folks?
Different strokes for different folks. I'm a fan of LLCs for asset protection. I'm a fan of S corporations for tax savings. Reason why is most of the people I work with are self-employed. So they start off in the LLC thing, and that's the best thing since sliced bread until their business becomes profitable. And then I let them know what self-employment tax, and they're like, what is self-employment tax? I'm like, welcome to the game. It's 15.3%. Hello. And then they're like, okay, well, how do I pay less of that? And I'm like, well, you can't inside of your LLC. And then they're like, okay, so are we switching? And I'm like, yeah, all I need you to do is just put on a new jacket. That new jacket is a sub-chapter S. Let me file this 2553 form, put you into an S corporation. You're still an LLC underneath.
Is it like a subsidiary that contributes to your company and then you just move everything underneath that?
No, it's not a subsidiary to your LLC. It is changing the taxation of your existing LLC. So imagine like you came into the club with just a t-shirt on.
Yeah.
But then I'm putting a jacket over you because I know if you just have a t-shirt on, you stick out like a sore thumb, and you don't want to stick out like a sore thumb here inside of the club because the IRS will find you. So I'm saying, let me put this jacket over you. This will shield you from 15.3% of self-employment tax just by you wearing the jacket. Underneath, you're still an LLC, but how you're filing your tax returns is as an S corporation.
Wow.
So that's called a sub-chapter S election on an LLC.
I would imagine it doesn't matter. You could work with the biggest clients. Could you help a billionaire?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you helped any billionaires? You don't need a name drop.
No, I haven't helped any billionaires yet, but
Yeah.
a lot of my clients that I'm working with will become billionaires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the, and again, no need to name drop, but what's the richest person estimate net worth that you've worked with?
Just north of about 200 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super solid. Miami, California?
He lives here and in Texas.
Okay, cool.
Between here and Texas.
Cool. We basically figured out who it is. No, I'm playing. Okay, so now who is, and I'll just be frank, who's the poorest that can come work with you? And obviously these are more so, entrepreneurs, I would imagine, that are working with you. So is it like right when they're making 100,000, 200,000?
No, not yet.
500,000?
Yeah, I would say like 500,000.
So if you're not making 40K gross a month, or I guess obviously that's gross before they come into you and you can kind of determine like, hey, what's going to be profit?
Yeah, I would say it has to make sense to pay for a tax strategist.
Yeah.
And you're not going to make the type of investment for a tax strategist if you're not writing close to a 6-figure tax bill on a year in and year out basis. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's just the truth, because up until that point, tax strategy isn't as important to you as income generation is.
Yeah.
And if you're at a point now where on a normal casual year, you're writing over $100,000 in taxes, that should not feel normal to you anymore to do every single year. You should be trying to figure out ways to eliminate writing 6-figure checks every single year to the government. Yeah. And that happens right when you cross around $500,000 in business profit. You're writing a 6-figure check if you have $500,000 in business profit.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, easily. It's 25% of your net.
Yeah, easily. I had a good guy on, Cody Sperber.
Oh, love Cody.
Yeah, and
Great
he
guy.
was talking about, he bought this commercial property and then he was able to write off the appreciation. Am I saying
depreciation.
That? The depreciation.
Yeah.
Okay.
How did it work?
Idiot. You know what I mean? Like,
No, you're good.
So the depreciation.
Yeah.
And like an estimated, value of the depreciation over 30 years into like 1 year, some Trump plan that he had. I don't know if it's still in effect, but
it is still in effect. It's called the cost segregation study. I leveraged that like hotcakes last year.
Right?
Yeah.
Dude, this
crazy.
is sick. You
want me to explain it?
Yeah, please. I'm literally like, I feel like a kid in a candy shop right now, and I don't know shit
Okay,
about the candy.
So when taxpayers want to offset their taxes with real estate, they can leverage depreciation by creating a paper loss. And how you create a paper loss is through this strategy called the cost segregation study. All it means is that you're just getting all of the material that makes up the property, and you're identifying what is actually the structure, like the actual structure, versus something that's not considered structure, like microwaves, appliances, flooring, things like that. That's not a part of the actual building structure. Anything that's not a part of the building structure, the government will let you write that off in 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years, or even 15 years. So I have done cost segregation studies for a lot of real estate investors who don't want to take their entire building's value over 27 and a half years or 39 years. They would rather me write off all the non-structural components in as quickly as 1 year. And I would say most real estate investors in their first year are getting somewhere between 18 to 20% of the purchase price as a write-off in the first year, just because they're performing this cost segregation study. If you're able to utilize the cost segregation study losses against your active forms of income, that's when you're off to the races, because now you can essentially say, as long as I have enough depreciation to equate to the amount of business profit I have every single year, I never pay taxes. And this is how I never pay federal taxes, being a taxpayer here in the United States.
Okay, and
does that make sense?
Yeah. So my next question though is, with the cost segregation, does it only apply to physical real estate, or can you utilize it with other things?
It only applies to physical real estate that's held for investment purposes. So it could be residential, commercial, storage unit, apartment complex. And essentially what you're doing is you're having an engineer and a tax professional come in and perform a study on the property and segregate all the cost associated to every little itty bitty screw, nut, bolt that built that property, because everything has value to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your biggest thing when you're sitting down with a new client, and what's your go-to? I know, like, being in life insurance, I know where I'm going to wow people. Like, what's your, like, I know I'm going to save this guy, your favorite tax trick, tax move, where you're like, I know as soon as I show this guy this, I know I'm going to save him 10%, 20%, et cetera. Like, what's that for you?
Yeah. So for some of my high net worth individuals, I know right away that having them incorporate a private family foundation is an easy way to get them to drop their tax bill without having to lose all their money, because they're essentially writing a check to their own charity. Yeah. Most of these people that are making, 7-8 figures are already philanthropic. They're just writing out checks, and they don't sometimes want to give all that money at once. They'd rather be strategic in how they give the money. And maybe a lot of them want to be involved in how they give the money too. So if I set you up a private family foundation, it's typically owned by you, and your family members are considered board members underneath that foundation. Yeah. So if you want to put on your own philanthropic fundraiser, event, whatever, you can hire your board members or employees yourself. And now you're income shifting money from your foundation down to people that are in lower tax jurisdictions than you. When you move money into a foundation, you're getting a tax deduction. 30% of your adjusted gross income you get to donate to the foundation. 5% of the charitable assets have to be donated out to another 501c3 of your choice. Only 5%. Yeah. If I have $100,000 sitting inside of my private family foundation, I could pocket the $95K in the foundation. $5,000 would have to be written out in a check.
But you can only take 30% of your gross income.
Only 30% of my adjusted gross income. So if my adjusted gross income is $1 million, and I only can put $300,000 into it. Yeah. But $300,000 times a 37% tax rate, that's $114,000, give or take, in a tax deduction. Or in tax savings.
Wow.
So you're saving $114,000 by writing a check for $300K to your foundation.
Yeah.
And then you only have to send off 5% of that $300,000 to someone else.
Now, here's something I have that's probably absolutely like nuts. Why doesn't everybody just start a church? Like, aren't churches like, you don't have to pay taxes through churches, right?
Churches are 501c3s. Yeah, absolutely.
So like, why wouldn't I just start a church, run all of my income through my church?
Well, you would have to have a bona fide intent to want to be,
Do you understand what I'm saying? No, I'm sitting here thinking like
a pastor.
Yeah, but like, why can't every entrepreneur just say, I'm a pastor? You know what I mean?
You don't even need a pastor. You don't even need to be a pastor. You could just have a foundation that.
But couldn't you do 100% of your money then at that point? Like 100% of my bread.
If you ran a church, then
yeah,
all
bro,
your money.
like,
Yeah, technically
I'm
you could.
donating all my money to my church.
Yeah. If your job was to be a pastor
would
and
the
all you're
IRS
doing
be
is
like-
running a church.
Would the IRS be like, no, we need to come see you preach? We're coming this Sunday.
I mean, you're running a 501c3, so you still have to file tax returns for it. You're just not paying any taxes. You still have to report everything. So they can see everything going on.
Right? Like, everyone should just start a church.
Some people got what it takes. Some people don't, bro, for sure.
Yeah.
Some people I'm like, bro, they need God more than
than
they
I
think.
agree. I was thinking of like tax advantages. I'm like, everything's so complex. Do this, 501 this, 1035 exchange. What, like, I've heard that since I was 18 years old. Like, how
A 1035 exchange or 1031 exchange?
Either one. Like these exchanges, like how often are these actually occurring and you're seeing individuals utilize these to save themselves?
Wealthy individuals use 1031 exchanges. Poor people don't, because poor people don't get into real estate with the intention to stay into real estate. They get into real estate with the intention to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
So they end up trying to sell their property, and then they pay taxes. And they're like, well, why did I get into real estate if I have all these capital gain taxes? And then they never learn about IRC 1031 exchange, which says if you could just keep your money in real estate, don't touch the money, you can buy another property and roll over your capital gains into that new property 100% tax free.
Yeah.
So wealthy people leverage the government's rules, IRC 1031 exchange. Poor people don't even know about the rules and end up selling their real estate and ended up never getting to build a lifestyle by design through rental real estate.
Now, would you say scaling your book of business and your relationships now and like scaling into the billion, I would imagine your book of business is $1 billion plus with the, if you put all the people together that you work with, I would imagine it's probably $1 billion.
I never even thought about that.
I didn't know if you looked at it that way.
No, I never thought about it like that.
I would imagine it's probably $1 billion
It
plus.
probably would be.
I would imagine.
It probably would be.
Now, but have you thought, like, is there like someone, there has to be, obviously there's people in this space, like kind of like mentors, directly, indirectly, motivate you, that piss you off, that are working with bigger clients than you are. Would you say it's the separator is more of relationships and a skill set? Like, was there a certain point where you feel like I like jujitsu, and I've been doing that for years, but like, there's a certain point where you become like a black belt, a legitimate one, where it's like, all right, you know what I mean? I can pretty much hang with the rest of them. So it's not like there's no longer a skill set difference.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like if you're getting better or anything like that, or you're, getting more revenue out of,
It's a
MMA.
strategy difference.
Yeah.
What I'm noticing, because I'm a top 400 tax advisory firm, and it happened so quickly, bro. It happened in 3 years. We became top 400 in the United States. Like, what? But when I look at all the other people,
Is that really? I don't want to like take away from that. Is that like that's
are
like
legit facts? Yeah.
yeah? But is that like super like impressive?
I think it's pretty impressive. Yeah.
I don't want to take away from because I have no idea. Like, there's
to be in the top
thousands.
400, you have to be doing over 5 million in revenue a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's super sick.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, there's not like a whole lot of people that have just dedicated to being advisory firms. There's a lot of CPA firms. Like I do tax planning. That's true advisory, wealth building. Or some CPAs are just like bookkeeping, tax prep. That's it. Sorry, if you need any legal advice, go fucking hire an attorney or a tax strategist, right? So being a top 400 tax advisory firm is super, super dope. But when I look at some of the other tax advisory firms that are doing way more than me, like revenue-wise, 50, 60, 100 million a year, it's not that they know more than me or that they've hired better employees than I've hired. It's just that they have a better strategy around how they're scaling their company. So what I've done is I've started mimicking, hanging out, being in the right networks, consulting with these experts that have grown their businesses to be bigger than mine, even though I have a way bigger brand than them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And what it is a lot of these people have doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on customer retention, right? Early on, I was just a sales guy. So I was just selling tax plans. I didn't even think about whether or not a client was coming back for another tax plan. So when I came into entrepreneurship and started my own business, mentally, I wasn't in the thought process of every single client I onboard should be doing tax planning every single year. It wasn't even
I was
in
gonna
my
say,
mindset.
the tax codes change probably drastically every 4 years, but I would imagine there's adjustments every year.
Right. Exactly.
So I would imagine your book of business should be a long. It's like life insurance, bro. Like
it is
sell
just
somebody,
like
it's
life insurance, bro.
It's long, bro.
And you want to stick with your clients for the foreseeable future. But I was super focused. Sorry. I was super coming from the background of sales where everything was transactional, where when you onboard somebody, you immediately want to get them that service as soon as possible and then get to the next person. Kind of like being at a damn hamburger stand. How many hamburgers can I flip and just make sure you got your burger?
Yeah.
But what I realized, bro, is second money is better than first money, bro.
1,000%.
1,000%. Somebody who I've already delivered value to is so much easier to sell again and so much easier to just take care of versus constantly having to go out there and put my own ideas and vision out there in the marketplace and bringing on new people. Why? Because It gets more and more expensive over time to advertise. And at the end of the day, bro, if the internet breaks, social media stops, how are all these people going to flow you? You're going to go back to the customers that have already paid you, and that's going to be your second source of income in the event that YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook just blows up someday.
That's insane, bro. This has been incredible. Almost 54 minutes ripping on taxes, your story, your life. The last thing I like to wrap up with is a combination of 2 or 3 questions. You have a favorite restaurant you like to hit? I know you're back and forth between Miami, California,
Yeah, bro.
places.
Bro, Miami has so much better food than California.
I hear that all the time.
I think that's part of the reason why I get pissed off being in California.
Yeah.
I don't even get pissed off about the taxes, bro. I don't.
That's because you're a wizard.
I'm a wizard on that shit, right? But I get pissed off not having enough food options. I'm just like, bro, I want to be at a restaurant that excites me.
Yeah.
And these basic ass restaurants that I typically go to in California, they get boring.
Yeah.
So being here is like being in New York for me, bro. There's endless amounts of restaurants, endless amounts of experiences. I will be honest with you. I like having a lot of money because I like to eat whatever the hell I want.
Amen.
I'm going to work out like crazy.
Yeah.
But if somebody said, Karlton, what's one of the main reasons why you like having money? Obviously, being able to do what I want with my time, spending time with my family every single day in the ways in which I choose always will be number 1. But I'm sorry. Number 2 is Karlton likes to eat Wagyu, and he likes to have carpaccio, and he likes to have a little bit of the beluga caviar on top of the chip with the cream fraiche. He just likes to eat like that, bro. And so I'm looking for really cool eating experiences. And unless I'm leaving Orange County to go to LA, and LA has the whole LA drama, I'm not really vibing out like that in Cali all the time.
Have you had Nusra ET, the Salt Bay place?
Bro, I've never gone to Nuraset. I'm going to do that for sure before I leave here.
You say it too.
Yeah, I've been seeing.
It's so stupid, bro. But you have to go there. It's incredible. I've had every steak I feel like in Miami, and that is my favorite steak. I get the ribeye cap. It's a phenomenally cut, and I believe they tell me every time I go, it's like one of the only places in the U.S. that has that cut of meat. Yeah. So it's called the ribeye cap.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Bro, this is the most tender part of the ribeye.
Yeah,
right,
it's insane, bro. It's literally insane. They prepare it.
All right, we got to go before I leave, bro.
Let's go.
Before I go back to Cali, you down to go to Nurset?
Yeah, I live right beside it, so that's what I love. Convenience.
Yeah,
I love luxury. I love all of that. So it's like I can walk out. I go have the best steak I want, whether it's a good day or a bad day. A steak makes it, phenomenal.
Always,
you know
bro.
what I mean?
How often do you eat steak? Are you a carnivore?
I am pretty much every other day.
Same.
So yeah, I eat steak.
How has eating more steak contributed to your overall mood and feeling?
Good, bro. So that's the thing for me is I grew up so poor. I guess in relevance to America, in relevance to the rest of the world, rich. But I grew up American poor, where it was food bank lines and food stamps, and eating Kraft mac and cheese. So as soon as I could, I didn't have a palate for steak until I was about 20 or 21, and I made my first 6 figures at 19 years old. Wow. So I would go to Capital Grill. I remember the first time I went to Capital Grill, I asked for chicken tenders. You know what I mean? At 19 years old.
They had chicken tenders.
No.
No, I was about to say,
they looked at me like I was an idiot. And I just didn't have a palate for steak because that's not what I was accustomed to. Yeah. And slowly but surely over these years, as I made more and more money, I was like, man, even if I lost all the money and everything went away, I will always make just enough to just eat a good steak. Yes. Bro. You know what I mean? Just eat good food. And so it's that's been a big thing for me. Is no matter what seasons I've gone through in life of making some millions and losing some millions, I'm always going to eat good.
Bro,
you know what I mean? So I relate to
too.
that. I'm not giving that up.
Bro, I was at the steakhouse the other day and someone said, "What are you celebrating? You're ordering caviar." I'm like, I don't have to have a celebration to order caviar, bro. I just
celebrate life.
I work hard. Every day is a celebration, bro. It's a celebration just to breathe air today.
Amen.
It's the fact that I'm looking down at this menu and there's caviar on here. I'm celebrating the fact that you guys decided to add this to the menu. Let's just celebrate today.
Let's celebrate. Let's go. Okay, last question. Some people like movies, some don't. I love them. Do you have a favorite movie?
Ooh. Yeah. Rush Hour 2, bro. Are you kidding
me?
Stop
Come on.
playing.
You're the first dog to say that.
Rush Hour 2.
You're real for that.
Come on.
You're real for that, bro. Wow.
Lee, I'm taking the stairs.
Yeah, bro. Oh my! I want to see him in person. Bro, have you seen him in person?
I have, but it was at a basketball game and he was away from me.
Oh,
so I couldn't
mean stand up comedy, bro. His Michael Jackson skit about talking about when he was singing with was it Barry Gibbs or something
when he voices Mike.
Yeah, bro. He low key's talented, and I'm like, damn, how deep is your love? And I'm like, bro, that dude that's a top three
Entertainer.
funniest entertainer for me in the world. You know who else is similar to that? Is this one guy. He works the stage really good. Nate Jackson, I think his name is.
Yeah.
He's blowing up right now.
Is he popular right now?
Super
I don't think I know
popular,
who he is.
super popular.
Is he an on-stage comedian?
On stage comedian, but he just gives me that, man, like he works the stage really well. Now I'm thinking about like comics, but Rush Hours, man, reminds me of me and my mom. Just coming up, we would just watch. I felt like we would just watch Rush Hour once a month, all three of them. You know
Bro,
what I mean?
my favorite movies growing
Who
up.
is you?
Bad Boys with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, and Rush Hour, bro.
Do you think Bad Boys got carried away with how many movies they made following up?
I don't care.
Right? I didn't really care either.
I was so grateful just to see another movie. We went straight to the movie theater opening night. Me and my wife were in the recliner seats. I said, I'm going to order popcorn, even though I don't eat stuff like this.
Yeah.
And I sat there like a
when
little kid
I go to the movie,
again.
I'll eat the popcorn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I sat like a little kid again, just enjoying it. I think we even saw the movie twice. It was so funny, bro.
Come on.
I love it. I absolutely love Will Smith.
That's
fire. Bad Boys 2 is definitely one of my favorite movies growing up.
A couple more things. What's the vision for your life? Some people, like, I'm not a destination person. I'm gonna go until I die. I'm gonna grow and go and everything like that. Okay, so like you're pretty similar then. It's like I'm gonna just go and grow.
Yeah, bro. I think my mother laid down the foundation so perfectly for me, bro, that it would be a shame if I didn't just continue to just double, triple, quadruple down on this platform I already have.
Wow.
But even more so, bro, I look at some of the people that I looked up to too, Robert Kiyosaki, Tom Wheelwright, some of the wealth teachers that were talking about real estate and investing and putting your money into the right types of vehicles to offset taxes.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to, extend some of their teachings with my own legacy, bro. A lot of their understanding shaped my understanding of finances and money. And I know a lot of people follow me because of the way in which I'm shaping their understanding around finances, money, and all that.
Yeah.
So I want to continue to be a wealth teacher. I want to continue to put out books. I want to be a best-selling author. And I want tax strategy to become synonymous with tax preparation. When people think tax preparation, I want them to first think, well, what's the strategy first?
That sounds so much. It's so crazy to me that like I've always been encouraged. CPA. Like we have a bookkeeper, and then they make a recommendation to a CPA, and I'm like, it's so crazy. Like business has always been about strategy, and the most important piece of your business, the oxygen of your business, is your money. Why would we not bring strategy opposed to just bookkeep, like just these boring ass people? I'm like,
because the norm is that every CPA knows the same thing. The norm is that when you go to a CPA, it's like going into a doctor's office. Everybody understands the exact same thing. And that's not true, bro. There's different departments in the doctor's office. There's radiology, there's cardiology, there's people who only deal with hearts, there's people who only deal with knees.
Yeah.
This is the same thing when it comes to finances. CPAs typically 99% of all CPAs only deal with accounting and tax preparation. They don't deal with tax strategy. They'll even say it sometimes. I'm not a wizard of understanding all these different tax codes. So then you have a choice. Are you going to just adopt what you've been told all your life? Or are you going to go around some of this and say, no, there's other people that have gotten expert level advice and expert level coaching. Maybe they have a private doctor's office, a private back office. And that's where you start really opening up tax strategy, bro.
Yeah, this is fire. This reminds me, like, when I really started to make a couple bucks, I started to invest in my health, getting blood work done every quarter.
Oh, love that.
Meeting with a doctor that wasn't funded by insurance, that could make recommendations on supplements, do this, do that, critique this, you know what I mean?
Is your doctor telling your normal doctor that you have PPO insurance or HMO insurance telling you to go run all of these tests, to then all of a sudden buy all these damn supplements, and next thing you know, you're completely eating an entirely different diet. They're having you send in fecal samples just to look at your poop.
Yeah.
No, they're not doing all of that, bro. But it doesn't mean that everybody couldn't do that. Does it?
Yeah, bro.
So when you think about life, bro, there's some who like to be 100% optimized, bro.
That's me.
And there's some that are just like, well, this is optimized enough, I guess.
No.
And that is not me, bro.
That gives me the vibe of the CPA. And now, and again, I feel like I've wasted the last 6 years of my life not thinking, like, if I have this, optimal doctor that I work with for my health, and, we go about business this way, but we invest. I think I've probably spent over the last 6 or 7 years at least $500,000 into mentorship, masterminds, networking. You know what I mean? And it's like, why would I not spend money on the strategy of the money?
Yeah,
you know
bro.
what I mean? Like, I literally feel like saying the R word.
And that's where we break people's disbeliefs down, because most people have never spent $40,000, $50,000 with a tax strategist. They're like, wait, what? I'm about to drop what on tax strategy? And then I have to remind them, oh, bro, you're not paying me. This isn't a payment. You're going to pay somebody.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay me. You already paid.
Yeah.
So either you're going to do something about your tax situation and invest those dollars into somebody that can help you do something about it, or you're just going to pay Uncle Sam. Either way, somebody's getting paid. Somebody's getting paid.
Same deal with life insurance.
And I'll sleep fine at night.
Yeah. We pitch it the same way. Like, you can pay us, you can pay them. It don't matter. But dude, this is incredible. So if people want to work with you, what's the easiest way? We know qualification. If you're not grossing 40,000 a month, probably not best to reach out yet. But be inspired. I tell people all the time, like in regard to like getting coaching courses and shit like that, you don't need it if you ain't making 20, 30 bands a month. You haven't worked hard or smart enough yet. You don't have a good enough product service, or you just ain't worked hard enough. So don't feel discouraged. You know what I mean? In regard to if you can't reach out yet. But if people want to reach out and work with you, where do they go?
Bro, if you are ready to do tax planning, you are sick and tired of getting the same results that you've been getting with your CPA. You talk to him until you're black and blue in the face, trying to figure out new solutions. You've already maxed out your 401k. You already bought a primary residence. That ain't working for you anymore. This is the time to start doing tax strategy. I want you to go to www.taxalchemy.com, book a call with our team. We'd be more than happy to help you. If you're not at that point yet and you're in the education phase, go to our YouTube channel. We have more than enough content to guide you through the right steps to saving money on taxes.
You guys have like 1 million subscribers, I think, right?
We're 20,000 away from 1 million.
Are you going to do anything fun when you hit 1 mil? Get a steak?
Yeah, we probably need to get a Salt Bay Gold steak.
Salt Bay Gold steak. Drop a couple bands.
I want it all covered in gold.
Yeah, bro.
Let's do that.
Congrats, man. This
Thank
was
you.
Karlton. This was awesome. I think this podcast is gonna make me the most money that I out of all of these. I think I'm on like 300 podcasts. I think this one's gonna make me the most money. So I'm excited. I'm excited we got to meet. I'm thankful for your hour today. So have a blessed day. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Let's go. Yes, sir.